Hey guys, it's Andres with Camp Canine Training. So if you're watching this video, is because I've sent it to you to be able to fast track our free lesson. You have been selected to be part of one of my 100 people that will be giving free 1 hour lessons over the 2019 calendar year. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be uh, pretty much cramming in 3 lessons, two depending on the dog that we're talking about, to be able to help you guys get on the right track. After that, if you guys want to do other lessons and stuff, then we can talk about that. But this is completely free for you guys. Lessons will be at my facility, Visa Apex Animal Hospital, and I'll schedule those once you finish watching the video, right? I'm going to cover several things over the next couple minutes that are really going to help you understand how I build a solid foundation. Remember, 70% of the training I do is for you guys, not for the dog, right? A lot of these behaviors are going to be very, very, very easily fixed once we have everything under control, right? Once we have everything under control, right? And then things like pulling on the leash, jumping, barking, nipping, excitement, smelling, lunging at other dogs, all that nonsense stuff, all this stuff that I get called for, those are going to be out the window. So the first thing that we're going to start off with is my training philosophy, right? Training philosophy is very straightforward. Timing, motivation, consistency. It's based on 3 pillars and 3 pillars only. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the breed. It doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter the issue that we're working with. Every single dog that comes to my program, whether it's private lessons, board and trains, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 5 week program, I utilize the same training pillars: timing, motivation, consistency. Timing, we only have 1.3 seconds for dogs to associate cause and effect. They have absolutely great memory, but they can only associate cause and effect within a 1.3 second window. So Eros is in it down right now. If we were to break the down, I have to correct him immediately. I can't correct him tomorrow because he broke the down today. If a dog jumps on me, I have to be able to correct immediately. I can't correct 2 days later, 10 seconds later, 2 seconds later. My favorite analogy or kind of example to use with that is I have a dog sitting in my house. I tell my dog to sit. The dog sits, and I'm like, yes, good boy. I run into the kitchen. I open up the treat jar. The dog comes and he jumps on me, and I'm like, good boy, that was a great sit. What did I just reward for? I rewarded for the dog jumping on me and not sitting. So make sure that whether or not this is a good behavior or bad behavior, you're catching these within 1.3 seconds, because that's all you have for the dog to associate cause and effect. But they have great memory, right? Two different things. Motivation. Motivation. We can use negative motivation. We can use positive motivation. With negative motivation, I can use a leash. I can use a pinch. I can use an e-collar. The only e-collar that I like to use is from e-collar technologies. And if you've ever had physical therapy, these are exactly like TENS units. These TENS units have 100 different levels into which I can communicate with my dog. Whether it's, hey, bud, you're getting a little too far, I need you to come back, and it would feel like tap on the shoulder. Or I really need you to stop jumping, barking, lunging, counter surfing, trash digging, eating poop, fence fighting, etc. The way I treat negative motivation, whether it's a leash, a pinch, or an e-collar, is I treat them just like speeding tickets. So if you're driving down the road and I give you a 50-cent speeding ticket, you're going to be very annoyed. If I give you a $10,000 fine, you're never going to want to drive again. But if I give you a $200 fine, you're going to slow down. Now, if I pull Bill Gates over and I give him a $10,000 fine, the guy's going to laugh in my face. Every dog has a different level of negative motivation. Every person has a different bank account. Eros works at a 7 out of 100 on the e-collar. Chaos, my female, his stepsister, works at a 10 out of 100 on the e-collar. And my Siberian Husky, which if you've watched any of my videos, you've probably seen her around. She works at an 85 out of 100 and wears a pinch collar, right? So not every dog requires a pinch collar. Some dogs work at a lower level on an e-collar. Some dogs work higher at an e-collar. My goal with negative motivation is not to undercorrect and be the nagging mom or overcorrect and shut a dog down. I just want to be able to stop the behavior, right? And once I've stopped the behavior, I can reward with positive motivation. So with positive motivation, we have food, we have toys, we have affection. At the beginning aspects of things, from ages 6 to 16 weeks of age, I like to use all 3 of them. After the age of 16 weeks, I just want to use affection. And the reason being is because I don't want to carry treats and toys to bribe my dog to do things. I just want you to do it because I asked you the first time, and I can still reward you with affection. But it's extremely important that when we're talking about motivating my dogs, you guys do it physically. I say no and correct with a leash or a pinch or an e-collar. I say yes and reward with affection, right? Me yelling at my dog to stop barking at the doorbell, to stop jumping on guests, to stop pulling on the leash, to stop smelling is like me yelling at you for being late to work and never writing you up. If there isn't a consequence, the behavior doesn't change. On the positive side of things, and if I'm like, oh my goodness, that is such a good down, you're so pretty, that's not going to mean anything after a while, because that's like me giving you high fives on Friday instead of a paycheck. High fives are great until I have to pay an electric bill. So extremely, extremely important to motivate physically. No correct with a leash. Yes, reward with affection every single time, right? And then the most important aspect of training is consistency. We need to be able to stay consistent long enough to build habits, right? It doesn't matter the age. I have people all the time, oh, Andres, I have a 6, 10, 12, 15-year-old dog. Can you still train it? Absolutely. But you have to be able to stay consistent long enough to get rid of the old habits and build new habits. But again, if you watch any of my before and after videos, I have clients with 5, 6, 7, 8, 10-year-old dogs that are walking on perfect leashes by the end of lesson 1. So it's completely possible to make changes right away. But we have to stay consistent long enough to build new habits, right? So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to cover. That's my training philosophy. The second thing that we're going to cover is going to be collars, right? So when you guys show up to my lessons, I want you guys to have the normal setup. I don't want you to go out and buy any collars. I don't want you to try to fix anything that you guys have. I want you to come to the lesson as you would normally. This information is just to help you understand what we're gonna do and why we're doing it. But don't make any changes on your own, because I want to show you physically how we're gonna make. And every dog is gonna be a little bit different, right? So when we're talking about collars, I want the collars to be up high and snug, right? A snug is a belt, a snug is a watch. We want it high up on the neck as possible, as far back on the ears. So even arrows here, this collar is too low, right? We want the collar to be right here, right? As far as we can, whether we're talking on a flat buckle, whether we're talking about an e-collar, whether we're talking about a pinch collar. We want it up high. The higher we have it, the more um, the more control we have over a dog. The lower the attachment point, the more control and power they have. So for walking purposes, I'm not a fan of using a harness. Think about what harnesses were built for and who uses them. Siberian Husky, Alaska, sleds. If you have a harness on your dog, they are going to have a tendency to pull more. I understand why people get them, because usually what happens is the dog is already pulling too much on their flat buckle collar and they're choking themselves. And they don't want their dog to choke, so the next best option to keep hold of them is a harness. If you're going to take your dog skating on a bike, have them pull something, a harness is a beautiful thing, because I don't want to attach 30, 40, 50, 200 pounds on the back of a sled or me on skates and then have a collar up here because I'm going to choke them. But I do want them to have all the pressure to pull me. So if we're going to have a dog pull things, a harness is great. If we're going to go on a walk, I want a collar that's nice up and high, right? All right, guys, the next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be leash management and leash placement. So the leash needs to be on the highest part of the collar. So there's some of these dogs that are going to have a pinch or an e-collar or a flat buckle or whatever the case may be. I want the leash to be able to be attached to the highest point in the neck. The second thing that we're going to look is that I want this buckle not to be facing and hanging up. I want the buckle to be facing and looking down, right? No? Yes. This will create a loose leash. This will also create what's called the letter J. So on all the leashes, I want to see a letter J, right? If you guys are putting tension on the leash, you're going to lose the letter J and the buckle is going to be up. I want the buckle to be down, which is also going to help you guys relax the arm, right? If you guys are putting a lot of tension on the leash, you guys are doing what's called opposition reflex. The more I pull, the more the dog pulls. And now we're just playing tug of war. So that's why I'm not a fan of retractables or flexies, because all they're trying to do is reel that leash back in, right? I want to have a loose leash because this allows the dog to have the freedom of doing the behavior. I don't want to have to do this and force my dog to be into a down. I want to be able to give him the freedom to make the decision so I can reward for him making the good decision, or reward or correct and then later on reward for doing the wrong behavior. But it's extremely important that you guys utilize a loose leash, right? And we'll cover more through that on the program, but this is the foundation knowledge that I want you guys to have, right? All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be loading control, right? Loading control is the key to training your dog. And I'll say that again because that's how important it is. Loading control is the key to training any dog. What is loading? What do we do with it? There's positive loading, there's negative loading. Positive loading is what you see when the dog comes out of the crate in the morning, when the doorbell goes off, when you're getting out at a park, at a beach, at a lake, you open up the door, the dog's rushing out, right? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, dad, dad, mom, mom, you're home, you're home, you're home, you're home. That's positively loaded, right? The higher the loading, the higher the corrections have to be to bring the dog down. And the harder it is to get their attention because the dog that's up here is not going to listen to you. And their corrections are going to be here, right? If you teach a dog that's positively, that's highly loaded, just to chill, just to relax, just to learn to be, then you're going to have a nice, calm, collected dog. How do we achieve that? By teaching a climb, by teaching loose leash walk, a heel, by stopping the smelling, right? That's going to be huge, right? If once we stop the smelling, you're controlling that excitement, you're controlling that loading, right? Now, on the other side of things, you're going to have a negatively loaded dog. Negatively loaded dogs are going to be shy, scared, fearful, aggressive dogs, right? Those are the guys that are hiding under a table. They're giving you the side eye. They're freezing. That's negatively loaded. If you have a negatively loaded dog and you build confidence and you build structure, now you got to have a nice, calm, collected dog that's going to listen to you. So you control the loading, you control the excitement, you control the arousal level, you control their state of mind, then you could do anything. So loading control becomes key, right? All right, and the last thing we'll cover for today is the amount of rewards versus the amount of corrections. So when we're rewarding, it's extremely important for you guys to realize how much rewards you're giving and why you're giving a reward. So when you're coming through my program, I never tell my clients that they have to cut their affection in half, that they have to stop giving affection. My biggest thing is, why are you giving the affection at the time that you are giving the affection, right? So if a dog comes up to me on the couch and they nudge me and they're pawing me or they're whining and I'm like, hey bud, it's okay. I'm in the kitchen, they pass by and I'm like, hey bud, how you doing? I get home and I'm like, hey bud. I'm handing out $100 bills every time I'm giving affection. And then I tell my dog to sit and my dog's like, why? I just got a bunch of free rewards. But if the dog comes up to me on the couch and I'm like, hey, get on a climb or let's go for a walk, right? Then you can say yes to reward. So did you still reward? Yes. But was the timing different? Absolutely. So I want you guys to think about the timing and why you are rewarding, right? And also the amount of rewards. If I just stand here and I'm like, good arrows, good arrows, good arrows, good arrows, good arrows, I'm just handing out 20, 50, $100 bills. And then I tell them to down. And again, it's like, why? You just gave me a bunch of free rewards. So watch the amount as well. If you're just not doing a down stay, then it's just going to be yes and reward. It's a $10, it's a $5 paycheck. But if he does a down stay outside of Lowe's for 20 minutes, I'm going to release him and we're going to have a puppy party. Match the paycheck to whatever the work value was. Same thing on the negative aspect of things. If he just breaks it down, I'm not going to crank up the remote to 100, take a leash, and correct him really hard, right? If I'm a police officer and I pull you over because you were speeding and I clock you 15 over the speed limit, it's fair for me to give you a speeding ticket. It's unfair for me to pull your license away, right? Now, if you're driving drunk, it's not fair for me to pull your license away. So you have to look at how much speeding tickets and how much negative motivation you're issuing. You have to match your speeding ticket. So if they break it down, no correction down, yes reward. If they go after somebody, they're nipping, they're lunging, they're barking, then the correction's going to be higher. Which brings me to my next point. For every correction, there needs to be a reward. For every good behavior, there also needs to be a reward. Balanced training, leashes, pinch collars, e-collars better get a bad name because people will get the tools, correct at the highest level, pop the leash really hard, and they're like, good, you stop jumping, you stop barking, but they never reward for the good behavior. So it's extremely important. If a dog is doing good, you're rewarding. If a dog does bad, you're given a correction, behavior stops, then you're rewarding. Super important. That's where the balance training comes into play. For every correction, there needs to be a reward. For every good behavior, there also needs to be a reward, right? Now, when you guys come to my lessons, you guys are going to see that we're going to introduce new collars, new tools, new methods. We're going to introduce things that your dog has never either been introduced to, has never seen, or we've never done with the dog. So you are going to see new behaviors, right? Especially when we start teaching the leash, you have dogs that will alligator roll, will try to bite the leash, will try to go after me, will try to run back to mom, will bark, will whine. Sometimes they will pee or poop or puke, right? Depending on the level of anxiety. So there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to see. All we want to achieve for lesson one is to make sure that they understand the leash. We can have a nice loose leash. We stop the pulling and we have a nice proper heel. Everything else that you can achieve with, because now you can control their state of mind. And again, training, the key to training any dog is loading control. If I can control your state of mind, everything else is a piece of cake. So a lot of you guys are going to have a lot of issues besides healing. You're going to have dogs that are nipping, that are jumping, that are barking, that are resource guarding, right? The list goes on. But if you can control them on a leash and have their state of mind nice and calm, everything else is possible. So we're not just going to target your specific problem because there's going to be a million of those. I want you to think at the large picture, the large scale. We're not just going to stop the jumping. We're not just going to stop the resource guarding. We're going to get them in a nice, calm state of mind where you can teach them everything, give them rewards for all the good behaviors, and stop all their bad behaviors. But you have to get that loaded control from here to here or from here to here. Nice, calm, and collected. And teaching you guys how to utilize the leash properly, teaching the dog how to be nice and calm, that's what's going to get us to point B. But this one lesson is just going to help you understand how to control your dog so you can teach them things later on, right? So the next step is going to be me getting you guys scheduled. I'm going to send you guys via Facebook Messenger a 3-page PDF. This PDF is just basically a training contract that I give to all my clients. I need you guys to print it and bring it signed to the lesson. Again, I need you guys to print it, bring it signed to the lesson. Right. Once you guys have finished watching this video, I'll go ahead and schedule you, and everything we're going to be doing is going to be through Facebook Messenger, and I'll schedule those, all of them, right? It's extremely important that when you guys come with your regular setup. I know we just talked about loading control and leashes and pinches and everything else. Don't worry about that, okay? I'm going to have leashes for you guys. I'm going to have e-collars and pinch collars for you guys. I'm going to have muzzles if we need them, etc. But it's extremely important that you come with your regular setup. Don't try to fix anything on your own until I see you. Keep everything normal the way it is, and then we can start working. But this video is just to give you guys the information that you guys need. That way we cut 20 to 30 minutes, and I can work with you guys for a true hour instead of talking for 20 minutes and then only being able to work for so many things, right? I also want you to write all the questions that you guys are going to have. That way you guys are ready to begin, not as things are coming up, okay? So I'm going to hit and close this video out. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to message me, and we'll get you guys squared away. All right, see you guys soon.